Hello there and welcome back to another ITH video. Now, I am back in Milton Keynes today because the wonderful people at Richter Sport have given me the keys to this Stormtrooper spec ABT Q8 to have a play with. Okay, so starting out around the front of this Q8. Right, so this is a Q8 50 TDi that has been basically externally tweaked by ABT. Starting out here, we've got all of this chrome trim that you would normally have on one of these has been blacked out, but all this has been blacked out. You've got down here, you've got these extra bits that have been sticking. So this is basically the original bumper with additional ABT bits on top to make it look more aggressive and sportier. These come round here, you've got these new trim bits here. Biggest difference on the front is this big old chin spoiler, splitter, whatever you want to call it. Now, when you take all this and it's all been blacked out, every bit is either black or white, and it's pure Stormtrooper spec, or Panda spec, however you want to call it, or Penguin, maybe, not sure, but it looks mega aggressive, and I mean, it's never going to be what you'd call a pretty car, but my God, is it imposing. And something that really makes it seriously imposing is over here. Here we have got a set of ABT's HR wheel. They are 23 inches in diameter. 23, I mean, they are huge. I've got quite long legs and they're coming up to here. It visually shrinks the whole car down slightly by having these enormous wheels. It doesn't look like it's sitting on caster wheels. It looks lower because it is lower. And also I am absolutely ecstatic that they're not gloss black because I hate black wheels. It might work with this car, I must say, it might work with gloss black, but I am very glad that they are this sort of titanium grey colour. Big fan of that. Right, round to the back. Okay, round the back of this Q8, which I personally think is its best view. Thought I'd point out here, the chrome trim that would normally be here, as I mentioned before, this has had a full chrome delete. To do this, they actually had to take these windows out, everything was all taken out, everything was made into this lovely gloss black here. It's a real proper job, I have to say. We've got the spoiler extensions here as well. Now, as with the front, what they've done is they've got the original spoiler in the center here, and we've got these two little flick sections that add onto either side, along with a lovely louvered gloss black trim down the side as well. It's all small things, all small subtle things, but when you add them all together, it makes the car look immeasurably more aggressive and a lot cooler, I must say. Now, the biggest difference I would say down here is the rear bumpers. Now down here you've got this new rear section with a faux diffuser. It's definitely not real. Now, unfortunately, on the subject of things that aren't real, what you've got down here are four massive Canon exhaust pipes. Unfortunately, I'll get a bit personal here, they're fake. All four of these exhausts are fake. Now, I will admit that is very, very disappointing to see, but basically ABT decided that they were going to not try and mess with the WLTP emissions regulations. Audi said, whoa, no, that's a big no-no. So basically, you've got in there, you've got these new pipe sections, and they're just visual because behind you've got the normal exhaust, which still peaks downwards for all the emissions and drive-by nonsense. Bit of a shame, but I really think that this back view is awesome looking. I really do. I absolutely love it. But frankly, you don't want to see all that. You want to see more stuff like the boot and what it's like inside. Okay, onto the inside. Now, this is actually the first of this new generation Audi that I've even been in or driven. I haven't, gone in the new RS6 or anything like that yet. So this is my first time experiencing it. And I mean, design-wise, as ever with Audi, it's absolutely nailed it. You've got this long strip of vent across here, only some of it's actually used, that isn't usable vent. It's all so wonderfully clean and smooth and very, very Teutonic, but I'm a huge fan, I must say, of visually anyway. In front of me you've got full digital display, as is always the case these days with the big Audis. You've got a large touchscreen here. Now this is very quick, very responsive, must say. I was actually using the sat-nav here, which I don't usually do. I usually just plug in my phone and use Waze and CarPlay. But I use their sat-nav built in. Brilliant, really clear, really quick. The problem I have with these double screen systems, and this screen here, actually, this is fine, but this lower screen for the climate control, and it's the same on all the latest Range Rovers as well, the Velar and the Sport and all that stuff. I find if you're driving along, you can't easily have that muscle memory, that memory in your mind of where the buttons are so easily when they're not actually able to touch them. This is just a big blank thing of nothingness here, and you always have to look in order to press the buttons. Other than that, obviously this is standard S-Line seating in here. The seats, they look quite nice. They've got some decent bolsters. Haven't found them that comfy, if I'm honest, but hey ho, maybe that's just the shape of me. In terms of practicality, I mean, this thing is enormous, frankly. You've got a lovely panoramic roof up there, which opens as well. You've got a large bin in here. There's a wireless charger in there as well. Obviously big door bins and a large glove box. So important things though are what it's like in the back as well, because this being one of these coupe SUVs, occasionally you might see that the roof line cuts into rear headroom. So I'm going to go and sit behind myself in there. Well, there you go. As expected, there is just tons of legroom. I mean, as I said before, I am 6'3", and that's my driving position, my driver's seat, and I'm sat behind, and I have got acres of room in here, and I've even got a decent amount of headroom. I mean, okay, I've got no hair, but there is some decent space there. I'm very impressed, I must say. I wasn't expecting it to have this much room in here, but at the end of the day, this is an enormous car. Practicality-wise, you've got two charging points there, 12 volts. One thing that does surprise me, actually, is, I mean, this is such a big, such a wide car, and this still isn't a full-size seat in the middle here. You wouldn't want to sit in that middle seat for any distance. You've got the lovely armrest that comes down and a rather funky cup holder there as well. So the boot, yes, it's massive. It's huge. This has got a 605 litre boot in here. I mean, it's slightly bigger than the BMW X6. I think it's got about an extra 25 litres over the X6, its closest rival. They both suffer the same problem though, which is obviously this slightly sloping roof line here, so you couldn't put anything taller or bigger in here. If you wanted to do that though, you just buy a Q7/X5. This is more about style and practicality, but there's nothing you're not going to fit in here, to be honest. It's a huge boot. This car has got the air suspension as well, which means there's some buttons in the back here which I can press to raise and lower the back of the car, which helps you with putting things in. Yeah, very impressive, very large. And thanks to BOTB.com, you can win your own ABT Q8 for just £4. It's a worldwide competition and you only have to be 16 or older to play. And if you don't fancy the ABT Q8, there are almost 200 cars to choose from, with tickets starting at just 85p. And you can even add £20,000 and fuel for a year. So the thing I wanted to know actually about this car was, as it's meant to be comfortable, big SUV, best thing for cruising down motorways and you know, having a great view of the road ahead of you, does the fact that this has got 23-inch alloys and rubber band tyres on it, does that mean it's going to have an awful ride and you're going to drive around feeling like your back's being stood on by an elephant? Well, no. Randomly, it really doesn't. There's plenty of drive select modes, and this has got air suspension. Just to clarify what they are, you've got loads of options. There's an all-road option, which gets everything raised up and able to go off-road a bit more. There's comfort, which is just your normal setting, which is what I'm in now. And there is also, amusingly, a dynamic mode, which also drops the suspension right down and makes everything a lot firmer. I must say, you can do individual as well, so you can have it riding around slightly more comfortably but slightly lower so it looks better, which I think is what will work with this particular styling setup. But yeah, it is really comfy in here. You could happily drive this every day. The steering is quite heavy, I must say. That's apparently a trait of the Q8 in general, but it's also going to be exacerbated by the fact that there are these enormous 23-inch wheels, which it's going to take a lot of turning. There's a lot of momentum as they're spinning around. You know, there's a lot going on there, so it's not going to help, but I wouldn't say it hinders it massively. Now, performance-wise, this is obviously a Q8 50 TDi using an Audi's new utterly baffling naming strategy. It's a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel with 272 horsepower, I think, as standard. The ABT tuning kit, however, bumps that up to 330 horsepower and gives you a whole glut more torque as well. And I would say that is fairly necessary in a car like this. 270 horsepower may sound like quite a lot, but when you're talking about a huge SUV like this, that extra little shove that it gives you is very, very welcome. And also it doesn't seem to harm the MPG or emissions as well. So I would say that is a very, very worthwhile option when you're ticking up the option boxes on your Q8 by ABT. One thing that I find interesting is I'm driving along right now, and this has got active lane assist, so that if it goes outside of a line, it tugs you back into line automatically. This Q8 is massive, right? It's very, very wide, and I'm driving along the road and it is constantly setting off the lane assist thing. That this is constantly vibrating the steering wheel and trying to tug me like that way and that way. So frankly, I'm just going to turn that off because I find it very irritating. So, how to summarise this ABT Q8? Well, it's a fantastic machine. It is so nice to drive. The problem is though, the Q8 itself, the standard car, does 90% of those. This just does it with a bit more style and panache. It's not cheap, I'll give it that, okay? You take a Q8 S-Line 50 TDi, that's about £65,000. This adds about £17,000 to £18,000 on top of that, which is quite a lot of money, but you get something that is a fairly unique. You're not going to see that many of these around. It's certainly very, very well styled. It looks different to anything that Audi would put out there. But therein lies actually the biggest problem, because that takes you to about £82,000, which is about the same price as the SQ8. And that comes with a slightly better styling than the standard car, I'll give it that. It doesn't look as good as this, but it's got a 435 horsepower, 900 Newton meter, 4-litre V8 diesel engine, which is an absolute monster. And it comes with all the special handling stuff as well. I mean, that is a serious bit of kit. And I would really quite struggle to go for this with the standard normal 3-litre V6 diesel engine over what the SQ8 could offer, unfortunately. But this offers a lot more style and a lot more classy sort of uniqueness than the SQ8 does. And of course, this is going to be a lot cheaper to run than the SQ8. The SQ8 is going to cost a fortune in fuel. So it all depends on what your priorities are, I would say. Now, of course, this car is also for sale at Richter Sport, who I've borrowed it from today for $64,995, which I think is an absolute bargain. But I need to say a huge thanks to the guys here at Richter Sport for letting me borrow this and drive it around today. And of course, a big thanks to BOTB again, because they're the guys that make these videos possible. And you can win a dream car every single week. You have to be over 16 years old to play, and there are about 200 cars to play from 85p. So please do go and check them out. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all those nice things for us. So thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video.